Good morning, everybody. This is Betty Shan here, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching today. And I just had some ideas about how that we took a vacation one time, and we went to Oklahoma. And this was when, after me and my husband, Edgel Shan, got married. And we went out there looking around some of the places that he had been when he was just a little boy. And we come upon this town, and they had a place where there had been a mine at one time. But they didn't have no mine there now. They just had it fenced around and had a pile of rocks there and a big old sign out front that you could read the sign explaining to you that it was the opening of a coal mine at one time. And evidently the ore wasn't top grade, and they started doing coal mining in other parts of the country, so that mine closed down. But my husband stood there. He read that sign over and over and over again, just like he was so interested in that. And the kids were tired. It was either June or July, and they crawled out of the car and, "Daddy, let's go. Daddy, let's go." And he was so engrossed in reading them signs and reading the name of the men that had been there, which he didn't know any of them. And the little red ants started coming up, or little, they were big red ants, and had to shoo my kids back into the car. And it was hot, it was miserable, but he wasn't about to leave. He was going to find out everything he could find out about that closed up coal mine that they started back in the 1800s sometime or other. I have no idea what city we was in or nothing, but it was just a little bitty town. And he found that, and that sparked his interest. Well, from that, I should have known never to take him to a museum. But we did. We went to a museum. My daughter and her husband, Robert, was here in Carlsbad at one time. Cindy and Robert, and they had Connor with them. And we all decided that we were going to go to Roswell to eat supper that night. So we all got ready kind of early, and we was going to go looking around and fooling around in Roswell that day, Roswell, New Mexico. So we went to Roswell. Now, in Roswell, they have what they call the Alien Museum. It's where they felt like aliens had landed in Roswell one time, way back in the 1800s. And we had never went to this museum because we had read articles on it, and we knew what they thought it was. They thought it was a weather balloon and all of this, but they decorate there in Roswell with aliens, and they make spaceships and all kinds of stuff there in Roswell. So my son-in-law and my husband and my daughter and Connor, and then our youngest one, number 5 daughter. She does not want me to use her name, so I'm just going to call her daughter number 5, the one we adopted. And we went to this museum, and of course we had to pay to go in it. And when we got in there, all it was a bunch of articles taped on these walls, and they had drawings of what they thought the aliens look like. Now, we're not talking about aliens across the border. We're talking about outer space aliens. They're supposed to have come over in a spaceship. And I'll never forget, I went through that thing in about 15 minutes, and I was ready to go. And my husband had to read every article. Edgel had to read every article on several of the walls. He had to read them all. And when we went in, they told us they was about to close. It wouldn't be long till they'd have to close. In about an hour and a half, it was closing time. Well, he stayed there till closing time, and then we finally convinced him them people was wanting to go home. So when we left, we sat down, we walked around, we got so tired of it, but he wanted to read everything there was about them aliens. And so when we got ready to go, when we left, he made the comment, well, if I ever come back, when I come back, he didn't say if I ever, he said, when I come back to Roswell sometime, I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to finish reading them articles. I didn't get any reading on that other wall. And I just kind of rolled my eyes like, oh, Lord. And for years, every time we'd go to Roswell, I was scared to death. He'd say, let's go to that museum and finish reading them articles. That was, to me, the most boring thing that ever was. I wasn't into aliens, and I wasn't into them thinking they had an alien landing there in Roswell. If they did, Lord bless them, but I wasn't interested in it. And anyway, it got to be such a joke with the family that my daughter, my older daughter, made the comment something about, look at these crazy people looking at this museum and these aliens and everything, thinking there was aliens in Roswell. It's a tourist attraction, and she said I wouldn't wait in line to watch none of that. And one time we went to Roswell, and we had her with us, and we had daughter number 5 with us, and she spoke up in the back seat. She said, look, Mom and Dad, there's that place we went to look at the museum where the aliens was at. And my daughter busted out laughing. She said, I thought everybody that went in there was something wrong with them, and said, there it is, my parents went in there. But anyway, I learned through the years, the best place not to take Edgel was to a museum, because it didn't matter what it was, didn't matter what it's about. He had to read every little sign that was put out. And I know that he went to more museums, but I begged off several times. I heard him telling my daughter he wanted to see a museum in Midland and Odessa, Texas. It was an oil museum. And I thought, oh, Lord, I'm not about to get drug into that one. So anyway, the only aliens I've ever seen in Carlsbad was when my kids would sit down with finger paints, and they got finger paints all over them, and they could have passed for little aliens at the time. We had finger paints all over their arms and everything. So you smile, have a good day, keep your chin up. I think I'm going to go fix me a glass of tea. And you have a blessed day, and go with the Lord.